this class today is all about how to achieve your goals, your desires for your health, for your body. And what excites me about this is I want to share with you today how to do this in a way that you can do it consistently. So it becomes a lifestyle and it becomes natural action in your life. And it just becomes who you are, what you do. It's no longer an on and off struggle. It's just like you've achieved a level eventually of mastery with your health so that it's just how you live. So I'm super excited to be with you. I'm Charmaine Ironside if I haven't met you, and we're going to dive right in. So let me know in the chat if you would love to elevate your level of health. So if you'd like to have a even greater level of health as you define it, maybe that's more energy, maybe that's more life force, maybe that's more strength in your body, maybe that's releasing pain and having more ease of motion. So another question I have is if you'd like to shift perhaps the way your body looks, the way your body feels from day to day. And if those are goals for you, then this is definitely going to be up your alley. So I want to talk about an intention. I'm a huge advocate for living a life of intentionality, by design. Most people live their life by default, and living a life by design where you actually create intentions and you design your life how you want it to be and you follow through on that, that's where the magic happens. That's where the results really come in. So my intention for you for today is that you leave this training in about 45 minutes from now with an increased level of belief in your ability to take action towards your goals, whatever they are for your health and body. And I put the word consistently because this is the truth. This is, if you take one thing away from this training, hopefully you take lots of amazing things, but if you take one thing, I really want to share this. Knowledge is not power. I used to hear that all the time. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. I don't believe that's true. I believe knowledge is only powerful if and when we use it to change our lives. So the truth is, most of us, we don't need more knowledge. We don't need more how-tos. What we need more than that is to be consistent with something that works. And, I even had a client recently, and she's like, I've got all these books about health. I've got all these options for types of workouts I could do. She's been researching, she's been collecting data over the years. And I said to her, what about if we just take a step towards one of those options? And she was like, yeah, okay, let's take a step. So she took a bold step in the direction of her dreams. And she's like, I've spent so many years thinking and researching and trying to figure out the right thing to do. And the truth is, it's not, and I'm going to share this today, it's not really complicated to be healthy. Yes, there's things we can talk about, hormones and all that, make it really complex. But really, we'll talk about the nitty-gritty of what it takes to be healthy. And the truth is, most people aren't missing the simple recipe for success. What they're missing is the consistency. And there's some of you may have heard of Mel Robbins, but she talks about, she's a success coach. You can Google her. She's got a great podcast, very inspirational. And she said one time when I was listening to her podcast, she said, you could put 100 diets, meal routines, ways of eating, whatever you want to call it, exercise routines. You can put all these solutions, quote unquote, to losing weight, getting healthier on the wall, and you could throw a dart and it wouldn't actually matter which one you landed with. The only thing that would define your success, not what you got to do, but that you actually consistently do it. Because 99% of people don't do anything consistently enough to see a result. And that's why they stay stuck and they're always looking for new solutions. But the truth is, Consistency is the key to what you desire and dream. So I want you to let me know if that resonates, if you're kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. And just so you know, just because consistency is going to be what gets you the result doesn't make it totally easy. Because if it was so easy to be, consistent with our health habits, we would not have an obesity epidemic in the North America. We would not have less than 20% of North American adults getting the minimum baseline amount of activity to thrive. So it's not complicated to be consistent, but it isn't also easy. So I want to take a moment just to get really present with where you are now, what's not working for you, because clarity is power. And when we know what we don't want, it makes it pretty obvious what we do value. And also, when we know what's not working and we kind of get into it, the nitty gritty, we think about it, there's a saying that says the pain will push you to take action until the vision pulls you. So what I found in my 15 years doing this, teaching people, coaching people, my own 20-year struggle with my own health habits, what I found was I wasn't able to be pulled by my vision until recently. I found what I had to start with was how much pain I was in. That got me really fucking uncomfortable, excuse my language, excuse my French. But I felt so frustrated with the excess weight I was carrying, the knee pain I was having, the back pain I was having, the embarrassment I felt every time I walked into the gym that I owned, by the way, with an overweight body, not walking my talk. And I had to get frustrated enough with my current state of affairs to really make a decision to change. So I invite you today, I believe if you're here, if you're watching the recording or you're here live, that you came because there's something that's not working and you're meant for more and that it's possible, because if you didn't believe it was possible, or even 1% of your brain thought it was possible in your heart, you wouldn't be here. So I just invite you to take a moment just to think about really what's not working for you. And, I can share people in this class, similar classes to this, have said, I'm frustrated with my results. Nothing seems to stick. I don't seem to make much traction with my health, no matter what I try. I'm overwhelmed with all the options out there, what I could be doing. I don't know where to start. People just saying they're uncomfortable in their own skin. They're tired of feeling like that. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I want to share with you briefly, I've been there. And the reason I want to share a little bit about my story just quickly is I want you to know, that you're not alone in your struggle, because sometimes our brain likes to tell us that we're the broken ones, we're the exception, we're just the weird ones that are like messed up. And so I want you to know you're not alone. I was the gym owner that struggled with my weight. I struggled since I was about 11, 12 years old, really not feeling good about myself, no self-confidence. I started thinking I was fat around that age. And my mom kind of modeled for me that you always have to struggle. You have to struggle with your weight. You have to count calories. You have to, punish yourself with exercise. And I mean, that was my modeling. That's what I saw growing up. And it just sort of led me to always struggle, always be on the wagon, off the wagon. I yo-yoed with my weight hundreds of pounds between age 12 and age 29 when I did my final diet. And I said, enough is enough. I'm not doing this again. And yeah, I just remember going to the gym. Even my like stretchy Lululemon stuff was tight. And I just felt not good about myself. I had a really bad relationship with food. I would binge on food. I would use food as an emotional crutch, or I would be on a total restrictive diet. And I never found anything in between. And that was a big yo-yo. I was even an Olympic level athlete, and I was always in the overweight category when they did the fitness testing. I just really struggled. I struggled with my weight, and all I really wanted was to find peace with my body, find peace with food. And it wasn't until my mom got really sick in 2013 that I really, really, really said enough is enough with this struggle. Basically what happened was she got really sick, and emotionally, I didn't know how to handle it. I was angry, I was scared, I was frustrated, I was sad. And so I was using food to numb myself, to distract myself, food and alcohol, to a really large extent, which I'd always done since I was about like 10. I'd always used food for comfort, but when my mom got sick, I started doing it to a bigger extent. A couple of days before she passed away from leukemia, it was her birthday, her 63rd birthday, and I literally binged on an entire cheesecake to myself. And I'm grateful that I did that, because after eating the cheesecake, I sat there realizing that unless I figured out how to have a better relationship with my body and food, no diet was going to be the answer for me. And so I really decided to go on a journey. I hired coaches. I traveled all around North America. I had self-love coaches. I had emotional eating coaches. I had emotional mastery coaches. I worked on basically everything I could throw at this problem with my weight, because I was so tired of struggling with it. And many years, 8, 9 years, $100,000 plus in investing in trips and coaches and programs. And the reason I share that is because the person I am today, I would say, is unrecognizable from who I was 10 years ago. And I want you to know that I had the knowledge. I had a kinesiology degree at this point. I had a degree in human movement, nutrition, health, and I wasn't able to put it into action. And what was missing for me was love, support, accountability, and getting rid of the diet paradigm. That had to go. The idea of restricting calories and being on a diet and shaming myself for making mistakes, that had to go. And a whole lot of self-love and a whole lot of support had to come in. So, I want you to just think about where you are now and where you would like to be. And so in personal growth, in goal setting, we call this the gap. Point A, point B. You're here, you want to go there. And so in order to get there from here, something has to change. Would you say that's true? Did that make sense? So there's a really great quote by Einstein, and he says, the definition of insanity is doing the same actions and expecting a different result. And that's what I did for many years with diets. I kept doing diets, falling off the wagon, doing a new diet, and I was hoping for this new result, but it literally was insane because it just wasn't ever going to work. Then the current action, the current way we're doing things, the current way we're thinking, the current energy we're bringing to our goals is not getting us where we want to be. So, to simplify how to get to your goal, and this is a real simplistic view of it, basically we got to take consistent actions every day and we will get there. Now, this is kind of like when my husband says to me 10 years ago, Charmaine, you want to lose weight? You just got to exercise more and eat less. And I go, fuck you. There's more to it than that for women, especially, pardon my French. There's a whole lot of mindsets in there. There's a whole lot of old habits in there. There's a whole lot of excuses in there. There's a whole lot more to it, at least there was for me, than just, I got to buckle down and exercise more and eat less. I tried to do that for many years, for 20 years, in fact, and I never stuck to it. And so I want to share with you a little bit more about what those actions could be, and the actions that I've found have helped me get to my goals and helped my clients get to their goals. And then I want to share a little bit deeper about how to actually make those happen. Does that sound good? So I've got a little fancy schmancy diagram. Hopefully you can see it. But basically there's 3 main pillars in terms of reaching a health goal. The first one I'll say is eating well. So I'll flesh that out a little bit more, but nutrition, how we eat. I think we can all say, yeah, that makes sense. I definitely see how food and what I eat and how I eat is going to impact my health and my body shape and size and all the things. So first there's eat well. The next one is move well. And so this is physical activity, exercise, whatever you want to call it, walking, strength training, swimming, Pilates, yoga, anything that's in terms of your physical movement. And then the third pillar is living well. And this is basically sleep, how relaxed and stress reduction, how much stress reduction you're doing. This is how much you're really creating a schedule that's in alignment with your goals. This is how much self-care you're prioritizing. How much time do you spend to nourish your soul? And so those are kind of the big three. And I think the nutrition part, the eating well is obvious. I think the moving well is obvious. Most people, when they think I want to get healthy, okay, I got to eat different and I got to move more. But the third, the live well, is where a lot of people miss the mark or don't even think about it. And I will go into a little more detail on that. But the biggest thing that makes it really hard to consistently eat well and exercise is being stressed and exhausted. So if we're not living well and prioritizing sleep, rest, relaxation practices, self-care, we're in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, it's really almost nearly impossible to create new habits with movement, exercise, food. So that's why the live well part, I think, is a really big part to talk about. And I will talk about it. And then in the middle of all three is how you think, your mindset. Because you could have all the knowledge about how to sleep, how to eat, how to move. But if your mindset is negative, and if you don't believe in yourself, and if you don't think you're worthy of transformation, and you have all these old mindsets in the background running, you will sabotage yourself every single time. And it's not that it's a waste to try, but I promise you, without working on some of the mindset, none of this stuff will ever be applied consistently. So we'll talk about that as well, the thinking well. Okay, so moving well, I just wanted to really cut to the basics. You know, you can look at a lot of countries in the world, most government bodies, if you trust them, say to move at least 30 minutes a day or more. And then I added to that, participate in a movement practice that's aligned with your goal. So if you want to look more toned, you're going to have to lift some weights and do some strength training. If you just want to have a little more cardiovascular, heart health, maybe you're swimming or walking. You know, if you want more flexibility, you're going to have to stretch and probably do something like yoga. And so I want you to think about your personal goal for your physicality and then participate in movement practices that get you there. Does that make sense? And like, to sound a little silly, but aesthetically, like, I have a goal to have a more lifted backside. That's just exciting to me. It always has been for many years. And so I participate in bar classes because they're very butt focused. So this is very practical, but you know, to decide what kind of physical movement to do, make sure it aligns with what you're working on. If you're rehabilitating from an injury, it's probably going to be a workout program that's focused on that. If you're training for a marathon, it's probably going to be more running, right? So just think about that. And then just to really make sure we cover all the areas of physical fitness, make sure you do a little bit of strength training, a little bit of cardiovascular work to get your heart rate up, a little bit of stretching and flexibility work, some balance work, because as we age, especially, we start to lose our balance. And if we work on it and challenge it in a practice, in a movement practice, we'll be able to keep our balance so that when we trip, we can catch ourselves. When we slip, we can catch ourselves. You know, my grandma slipped in her 90s and broke her hip. And, you know, that wasn't the end of her, but it definitely changed her life dramatically. So that just kind of gives me the inspiration, not that I'll never trip, but if I keep working on my balance throughout my whole life, I'll be less likely to have a devastating fall when I'm older. So that feels like an inspiration for all of us. Body composition, participate in a movement practice that helps your body composition. So like I was saying, I want a bigger booty, I'm going to do more bar classes, you know? So just thinking about that. So that's kind of how to move well. So I personally, and maybe because I'm so entrenched in this, I've been doing this. I was an Olympic level athlete, and then even though I struggled with my weight, I was able to go in the gym and work out because I had a sport I was training for. And then I became a personal trainer because we usually become what we struggle with. So I became a fitness trainer. So for me, this seems obvious. It seems fairly simple. And if I'm not trying to sound offensive, if it's not for you, that's okay. You can get support with that. But to me, it is fairly simple to exercise 30 minutes a day and to do things that are going to help you get closer to your goal for your body, and to make sure you have a little bit of holistic approach where you work your strength, you work your balance, you work your flexibility, so you have a well-rounded body. Because like, you know, sometimes you'll see jokes or memes about guys who only work their chest and their upper body. They never stretch, they never work their legs, they never do cardio. They're not very well-rounded in fitness, but they look great on the upper part. So for me, that's not really what I'm going for. I like to encourage people to be holistically fit. So the reason I said simple is because I think if you just think of it like that, 30 minutes a day, if you can, start somewhere, start with 1 day a week, start with 5 minutes a day and work up to 30 minutes. That's how success habits are formed. We start small and we build. Do things that are in alignment with where you want to go, with keeping your body and your safety in mind, of course. Make it holistic, but simple does not mean easy. And I think this is so important. It sounds obvious, but it's not obvious, because most people use the simplicity to beat themselves over the head and say, man, I know this stuff. This stuff's obvious. I learned this stuff many years ago. Why am I not doing it? And most people actually, unfortunately, think, man, I just got to pull up my bootstraps and get it done, even if they've struggled for decades on their own. So again, knowledge is only power when it is consistently applied. So we know moving is important for health, and it's still, there's less than 20% of North Americans getting the minimum amount of activity to thrive, which is 30 minutes a day. So only 2 out of 10 of us are getting 30 minutes of physical activity a day. So yes, it's simple, but it's not easy. And I could go on for days about why it's not easy. It's not easy because we have a sedentary society. In the old days, even 50 years ago, people moved more because we didn't have takeout food. You know, we didn't have all these order to your door things. So people at least had to walk and go to stores and, you know, so our society is set up for a lot of laziness if we choose it. And, you know, people are more distracted than ever before with things. People are more worried than ever before with the state of the world generally. There's a million reasons why people are having a hard time fitting in 30 minutes a day. Most families are dual income families now. They're having to work a job plus try to take care of family, plus trying to take care of their health. And it's just a lot. So, you know, I can share, and I'll share it again and again. I knew all of this. I literally studied it for 8 years in university, and I still wasn't doing it. And it was no lack of knowledge. And so I want to share with you, if you haven't created the consistent movement practices in your life that will support your best body, I can almost guarantee that it's not because you don't know movement's good for you. It's not because you don't know how to walk. It's usually because there's a way of thinking or a mindset that's sabotaging you. Now, I just want to share a few of those mindsets that I've experienced with clients that keeps them inconsistent. So one, I've had a lot of clients who have the should syndrome. I should exercise every day. And this is Krista, I worked with her, and she kept saying, I should get to the basement and just do it. It wasn't working for her very well. She wasn't building a consistent practice. And literally I said, Krista, what if you change that one word? We get rid of the should, we stop shoulding on ourselves, and we change it to a more empowering sentence. And so she started saying, I get to go to the basement and do my movement practice. Not that I should, because should has such a heavy connotation, has such a heavy energy. So she stopped shoulding on herself and she started saying, I get to go to the basement and do my exercises. And it changed everything for her. She actually felt like she wanted to do it. It was like a self-care activity. It was a privilege. It was an honor. It was the way she took care of herself instead of being this heavy obligation should. So that's a big one, just changing that little word. Another common mistake people make is they're like, man, I should have figured this out by now. Like I was talking about that a minute ago. And then they stay in that quagmire of frustration with themselves that it's so simple, but I should have gotten it going by now. And then they never have enough energy to move forward. So we got to let that go. I could do that with a lot of things. I have, quote unquote, I could say I've wasted years doing certain habits, but guess what? That's not going to get me anywhere. It's just frustration and being hard on myself. So I want you to let go of the fact that maybe you've known this for many years and haven't made it a practice, but today's a new day. Give yourself a fresh, clean start. Because literally so many people get stuck here. They hear things, even on this class, they'll hear something and go, I knew that already. I should have been doing that by now. And then they get in that self-beat up frustration cycle and it zaps all their life force, all their energy, all their motivation that they had, even if they only had a little bit, it's gone now because they're beating themselves up. And we gotta let that go. We gotta learn from our past. We gotta decide today's a new day. Decide literally means to cut off the old excuses, cut off the past, cut off the old stories, and just decide today's a new day. The next one is I should be able to just have more willpower. And the truth is that you can read about this. There's research on willpower. Willpower is a very finite resource we all have. We start the day with some willpower and we end the day with almost no willpower. And if you're trying to depend on willpower alone to build a new habit amid a society that does not support it, and all these years of gravitational pull of old habits pulling you away from it, willpower will never be enough. What can help us if we're feeling like we just need a little support is joining an exercise class. That's why I joined a bar class, getting a workout friend that helps you stay accountable, getting a coach, those kind of things. That's willpower will never sustain us. It's basically just setting ourselves up for disaster. A lot of people believe that exercise has to be hard and painful and boring and you know what? It could be, but it could also be joyful and enlivening and exciting and a way that you take care of yourself. And so if you have a mindset about exercise that it's hard and painful and boring and arduous, that's a non-starter. Your brain hates doing things that are boring and painful, and your brain will sabotage you. So partly it's a mindset shift. I get to do this. How can I make this more fun? When it's fun, it gets done. How can I make my exercise practice more enjoyable? Maybe that means, this morning I got in my truck, 5:40 a.m. I drove to yoga. My neighbor was getting in her truck. She was driving to her bar class. And I just laughed because I'm like, she's one of the fittest people I've ever seen. And I'm like, can't she just do it at home? Like, why does she need to go to bar class? But I'm like, no, because it's so much more fun to do it in community. And, I've decided to stop struggling alone. Sometimes I love working out at home alone, but for me, a community and an exciting instructor and great music and new props and variety, that's the spice of life. So that's working well, at least for me. And I just kind of thought it was funny this morning because I'm like, it's just consistency. That's why she's so fit. She's up every day going to a class at 6 a.m. and it's just a habit. So yeah, just think about those mindsets. The last one you could read all of these. I should be able to do this alone. Well, research shows that people are 80% more successful with exercise when they do it with a community. Maybe that's a walking group you join, or maybe that's a gym you join, or a friend you work out with, but it doesn't mean you can't have success alone. But most people are much more successful in some sort of container that's with community, with other people working towards a similar goal, that has similar energy moving forward. And then some people think I need to make a huge change, or else why bother? That's another lie. Literally 5 minutes a day will get you momentum. And then you build up from there to 10 to 15 to 20 to 30, or maybe you just go for the gusto and you join a gym and you join a class and you go 3 times a week for an hour, whatever. But I think some people, and I've talked to a lot of moms and women, especially, and they're like, I'm just so overwhelmed with life. I have no clue how I'd find an hour for a workout. And so I'm like, okay, start with 5 minutes, do some squats, do some ab work for 5 minutes, and just get that momentum, get that good feeling. And then it starts to grow on itself. A little example of needing accountability with exercise. This is Becky, who I've worked with. We worked on her nutrition and mindset mainly. And then I sent her workouts to do, recordings, and she was just like, I'm not inspired. I need someone live holding me accountable. And so I said, well, I think it's time for you to get a trainer, because if, I could give her the how, I could give her the workout plan, I could give her a great follow along video, which works great for a lot of people, but it didn't work for her. And what worked for her, because she had years of struggling with exercise, was to hire someone that would be at the gym waiting for her at a certain time. Not just join a class, because that she could bail on that. She needed a one person that was waiting for her, that she didn't want to let them down. She could let herself down. She could let herself off the hook, but she wasn't going to let that trainer disappoint that trainer and waste that money. So, that's not maybe forever for her, but for now, that's working for her to get her fitness practice. She needed some external accountability. So there's lots of ways to get external accountability. That's just one example. Okay, are you tracking so far? Awesome. Okay, so eating well, this is sort of the definition of a successful relationship with food, as I have coined it over the years. I eat delicious and nutritious foods that align with my goals for my body most of the time. And I allow myself to savor treats in moderation too. So I call this the moderation over deprivation strategy with food. And I could talk for days about why diets don't work. They just don't. They're miserable. They lead to rebound weight gain. It's been studied again and again and again. They have less than a 5% success rate for long-term weight management. So if you do a diet, you're 95% chance of gaining the weight back within a year. They just don't work because they don't incorporate mindset shifts. They don't incorporate sustainable change. So that's why I'm not a fan of dieting. And I love this. I don't love this, but this is a truth. For every diet and weight loss attempt, there will be an equal and opposite falling off the wagon and weight regain. And that has been true for me again and again. Here's me doing a fitness competition. I lost 30 pounds in 10 weeks. 10 weeks later, I'd gained every pound back plus more. And that's just the truth. Any extreme measure always rebounds back eventually, or usually soon. So I love that idea of just moderation. I'll share a couple little examples of where moderation has worked. This is Lana. She released 25 pounds in 12 weeks. And I've talked to her many times since, and she's like, I'm keeping the weight off. My husband's lost 30 pounds and he's keeping it off. And she said, with this, the way I teach people with nutrition is you can still enjoy the things you like. And she thought at first that's not possible. But then she found out about moderation, changing her relationship with food, releasing food shame was a big part, not feeling guilty to eat a cookie once in a while and allowing savoring. So I just really want you to know that it is super possible to have a great relationship with food, allow some treats. And I love teaching that. Again, eating well, if you're like a practical person, you like to know the how. Drink lots of water, eat real food that your grandparents would recognize, eat lots of vegetables, eat enough protein. Women around 90 grams of protein a day is recommended. This is really getting into the nitty gritty how, but again, what I'm so passionate about is why do people not do this stuff? because again, it's simple, but it's not easy. There's a reason why there's an obesity epidemic. 60% of North Americans are now overweight. It's not because they don't know that water's healthier than pop. It's not because they don't know that vegetables are healthy. I mean, there are some people that literally don't know that. That's a small percentage of people. But yeah, there's many mindsets people have. They're similar to the exercise mindsets. I should drink more water. I should eat healthier. Well, the should energy never gets us very far. It's shamey, it's heavy. And so shifting, I get to drink more water so I feel energized. I get to eat healthy because it's honoring for my body and I want to live a long, awesome life. That's a different energy completely than, oh, I really should try to get a cup of water. That's not empowering. That's not exciting. And energy is everything. So if you're excited and alive and you're empowered to do it, you're going to do it way more often than if you're doing a new action from a place of, oh, I should do it. I'm not good enough. My doctor told me to, from pain. It's not empowering. Again, you could read all of these just different kind of mindsets people have. So a lot of people think I have to make a huge change in my nutrition or else don't bother. Well, no, just like exercise, 5 minutes a day is better than 0 minutes. Just like nutrition, 1 glass of water is better than no glass of water. 1 serving of vegetables a day is better than none. And I don't know where you're at on the spectrum, but small changes lead to massive results. Some people think, oh, I've tried this before. I've dieted before. It didn't stick. So why bother trying to be healthy? Well, if you have a new mindset, you can implement new strategies with a lot more ease. So another one, I should be able to do this alone. I know how to do it. This is Jerry, and she worked with me, and I love this, what she said at the end of the program. She worked with me for 3 months, and then she's like, I don't think I need to keep working with you. I've got the basics down. I'm on track. I've got momentum. Again, I've checked in with her since, and she's like, she's joined a gym. She's carrying on the momentum where she lives in the US. But she said, I probably could have written the book on how to lose weight, but I needed the accountability to finally stick to it. And so even on our first call, she's like, I know what to do, Charmaine. I'm just not doing it. I'm not prioritizing it. I'm not getting it going. And so we worked on that. We worked on accountability. So this is the case for most people, knowing what to do, but not putting it into action because of old habits, needing some support, needing to get momentum. So again, if you haven't created the eating practices in your life that support your best body, it's probably not because you don't know what to do. It's likely due to a way of thinking, mindset, the think well in the middle here. And often it's a lack of accountability, because accountability just means there's some skin in the game. Either you or you plus an external party are watching and monitoring your progress. That's what a lot of people are missing. They might set a goal, but then they forget about it. There's no accountability. There's no measurement. There's no checking in on it. And then 6 months go by and they haven't made progress and they wonder why. It's because there's no measurement process. There's no external accountability. There's nothing in place. Okay, so I want to talk quickly about the mindset here. Truly, from all the personal growth work I've done in the last 15 years, strategy is like less than 5% of success. The how is less than 5%. And most people spend all their time on the how, and they wonder why they make no progress. 95% of your success, all of our success, is our mindset and what we believe. What you believe is what you achieve 100% of the time. And, talking about the power of the mind, well, what I believed when I lost 30 pounds in 10 weeks was I can't look fat on stage at a fitness competition. So I pushed myself for 10 weeks. I could do that. But what I deeply believed about myself was I am big boned. I'm an overeater. I've always struggled with my weight and I'll always struggle with my weight. And I'm talking like deep subconscious belief systems that I'd had since I was a young girl were driving behind the scenes. So I could, yes, restrict and diet my way thin, but I couldn't stay there. And so I just want to really say to you, if you only focus on the strategy and the how, but you don't work on the inside work and the mindset, it will lead to you sabotaging in some strange way again and again. And we all do this. And, you know, I could share a million examples about self-sabotage, but it won't make any sense. And it's literally, you say you want one thing, but you do the opposite and it drives you nuts. And it's frustrating as all get out. And you don't know why you keep doing it. And you end up in this frustrating battle with yourself. And it's always 100% of the time because your beliefs about yourself don't match the goal, the vision. So if your vision, my vision was to be healthy and fit and strong and toned and thin, but my deepest beliefs were, I'm an overeater, I'm big boned, my mom struggled with her weight, so I'll struggle with my weight. Exercise is hard and boring. Eating healthy sucks. It's hard. And I had all these belief systems that were literally the opposite of what I needed to believe in order to sustain the healthy, fit body I wanted. So beliefs are huge. So I just want to share, again, I talked about the live well. So if we're stressed and exhausted, it's really hard to consistently work on our mindset and get the movement practices going and eating well. So huge, huge, huge important is making sure that you're getting enough sleep, getting enough relaxation, getting some self-care that fills your soul, scheduling and prioritizing your needs before anyone else's. And this is stuff that I help my clients do because I don't know about you, but that was quite the opposite of how I lived my life. I used to prioritize everybody before me. My priorities were completely out of whack. I was not getting enough rest. I was doing zero self-care. And I actually had to hit a rock bottom. This was about 10 years ago. I went to the doctor and I'm like, I kept losing pregnancies. I had 3 pregnancy losses in a row. And I went to this functional medicine doctor and she tested me and did my hormones and all this different stuff. And she's like, all you need is to make your body hospitable to a pregnancy is to slow she didn't say that, to slow down. I was going to swear, to slow down. And she literally prescribed me meditation and rest and laughter and sex and getting out in the sun. And it was like, what? A doctor is prescribing me to get sun on my face and to laugh every day and to like meditate? Like, this is crazy, but it worked. I mean, it was the thing because my body was so stressed. I was holding on to weight. I couldn't get pregnant. I could get pregnant. I couldn't hold a pregnancy. I was exhausted. And so I just want to encourage you that the live well piece really is a huge one that a lot of people don't think is that important. They're like, rest when I'm dead or whatever, but it is important because another part of it is if you're stressed and you have a lot of cortisol in your body from stress and from exhaustion, you hold on to fat more readily, much more readily, especially at the midsection, and you'll be more hungry for carbs and sugars and quick energy foods. So it's really hard to eat well sustainably if you're in that survival chaos stress mode. So to kind of summarize today and wrap it up, you're at point A, you want to get to point B. Consistent actions are going to get you there. The way you become consistent with the actions is you make sure your mindset is working for you, not against you. Like I said, if I kept believing I'm fat, I'm meant to be overweight, I'm an overeater, I'm going to struggle with my weight just like my mom. If I kept all those beliefs, which I had for many years, I would still be in that struggle with my weight. But I can say to you that for at least the last, I don't know, I want to say 7 years, I've maintained a consistent healthy body weight. I feel really good in my own skin. I'm never on a diet. I don't worry about calories. And it's because 95% of that success is because I worked on my mindset, the inside game. It wasn't because I found a better diet or a better exercise routine. Although I do like bar classes. I've done 10 now and I'm very excited about them. But again, simple does not mean easy. Knowledge is only power when you apply it. So if you're ready to make your health habits consistent and thus achieve the results you desire, I really just want to invite you there's two things that you're probably missing, okay, that will help you build consistency. One is put way more focus on your mindset than the strategy. I promise you, the strategy is the easy part. The movement and the food gets so easy when your mindset is actually congruent with what you want. When you believe that you deserve to be your healthiest, when you believe it can be fun and enjoyable to get healthy, when you believe all your past failures don't matter because today's a new day, then your actions will start happening with ease and grace and velocity, and your results will start happening. It's an inside game. And number two, the second thing people are mostly missing is accountability, because it's just a fact. People are way more successful when they have some energy in the game, when they have someone who's rooting for them, cheering them on towards their vision, and picking them up and lifting them up when they're feeling like nothing's working. And so I just want to invite you, if you feel like you could use some help with the mindset, if you could use some help with the strategy, a little bit with the strategy, a little bit of information on the strategy, but more about the mindset, and you could use some accountability, then I just want to invite you that that's what I do. That's my career. That's what I love to do most. And so I'd be happy to chat with you, jump on a quick call, talk about your goals, talk about what's been hard for you, what's gotten in the way, troubleshoot that a little bit. And then I can share also about my Forever Fit program, where I help you, give you the roadmap to success in terms of some trainings, give you some weekly accountability live with me on Zoom, and just a whole bunch of resources and things like that to help you achieve what you want for your body. So if you'd like some support, you can just reach out, reply to me, and we can set up a call. And yeah, I want to just leave you with truly, truly, I'll just stop the share. Oh, hey, Marinella. Truly, truly, it is your destiny to feel good in your body. And when you feel the best you can, physically, mentally, emotionally, that's when you can just absolutely thrive in this life, shine your brightest light in this world. From a more global perspective, I believe we will heal this planet by thriving and spreading our light. And that's not an obligation. That's an exciting calling, in my opinion, to be like, I want to thrive so I can just lighten this planet in any way I can and serve, and not from an empty cup though. Never, never. And I talked about living well. You putting your needs first, prioritizing you and your self-care and your fitness and your food, it's going to be the biggest gift you can give your family, friends, the world. Because when we pour from a full cup, we pour abundantly from a full resourced self-care fit cup, we can move mountains. We can do so much good in this world. But when we're trying to pour from an empty cup, a drop at a time, and we're resentful and we're frustrated and we're tired, that's not the gift that we are meant to give the world. So just an invitation, a reminder that when you prioritize you, you actually do more service in the world than if you sacrifice you trying to help other people from an empty cup. So I believe in you. Sometimes that's all we just need, is that reminder that we deserve it. It is possible for us. And that I believe we're all meant to shine in a different way. And we're meant to thrive in this lifetime. So if you need any support with that, reach out. I love you. I am grateful for you. Thank you for allowing me to share my passion for this stuff. And if you take something away, I hope you take away, it's not a lack of knowledge that most of us are suffering from. It's a lack of consistent follow through and patience, and doing the steps day after day, even when results are not quickly coming. And we stay patient, we stay focused, and we just keep repeating the steps, and we trust. And that's really hard to do. And that's why having accountability support is life-changing. And I have a coach all the time. And whatever I'm really working on, I always have a coach, because otherwise I'll let myself off the hook every single time. So if you need any support, reach out. I love you. If you have any questions, you can always message me also. And I'm going to sign off. I'm going to my daughter's school to volunteer and read. And so I look forward to chatting with you all soon. And thanks for being here. Awesome.